Welcome back to The Laws That Matter. Thank you for joining us for our weekly show. We have another great panel this week. I don't want to waste any time. I want to get right into it. This week we are covering how vegans are in defense of Black Lives Matter. Jane Unchained and BeVeg is standing in defense of Black Lives Matter. We stand against injustice. We stand for justice. And that is what the vegan movement is. Today, joining us, we have Jasmine Leyva from Invisible Vegan. We have Gwenna Hunter from, Gwenna's from so many things now. She's the founder of Vegans for Black Lives Matter. We have seasoned vegan owners with us. Hopefully their sound will work. And at the end of the show, we have the newest certified vegan cheese by Wendy's Nutty Cheese. And you'll be hearing from her. It's a BeVeg certified vegan. So without further ado, let's bring everybody up onto the screen. Hey guys. Hi. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So, Gwenna, let's start with you. You know, you started the Facebook group, Vegans for Black Lives Matter, amazing group to start. Can't believe it hasn't been founded before, how many weeks ago? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
Well, it was the right time.
Yeah. And now you have about 3,000 members, right?
Yeah, we have close to 3,000. We're slowing down the entry process so that we can manage it, because if we didn't, it would definitely have over 5,000 right now. But we're like blocking, deleting, and
thanks for letting me in, by the way.
Good.
I negotiated my way in after the last show.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm learning so much, even about myself and my own culture in this group. And even learning how to, I told you before, I did not want the leadership title. Like, I want nothing to do with it, but I'm going to take the responsibility because it's almost unavoidable. And so I'm learning how to take responsibility. I hate criticism. So that's something that I really have to own up to. And I'm really proud of myself for the growth I've had in the past week.
And you seem like you're in better spirits this week than last week. Last week you had just basically started the group and were dealing with mixed emotions and sorry, my technical stuff. Hopefully you don't see it on your end, but my screen is going in and out, but I think I fixed it. But last week I know you were saying that there were moments where you just wanted to crawl back in bed, archive the group and say, I'm done with this. Like, I mean well, but we need to be solution oriented. And that's not always, when you have 5,000 people that want to enter a group overnight, you're not going to always be solution oriented. So, I'm proud of you too for, standing up, sticking it through. You have a major movement to lead. In the last week, what would you say is a recap of what's going on in the group?
So I'm creating days where only Black lives speak, because a lot of people let me know that they didn't feel safe in the group and safe speaking because there were so many conversations going on. And I get it. There's a lot of white people that are new to this, and they're also new to all this oppression and information and this overload. And I think Black people, we've been taking it. We know how to manage all that. White people, I don't think y'all can handle it like that, all this information overload. And so a lot of people in the group that are white are trying to, there's a new term called, I think it's called being performative or something. There's a new term I've been hearing.
Oh, that's a cool term, instead of performative. So taking action, not just saying I'm not racist, but being.
Not so nice like that. It's almost kind of proving that you're woke and that you are for this, and it's almost toxic in a sense. And so a lot of that makes it feel very unsafe for a lot of Black people when they come into the group. And so what I'm doing now is I'm having days where there are only Black lives that speak. So this Friday and Saturday, especially in honor of Juneteenth, the only people that will allow to speak and share their stories, promote themselves, discuss anything they want, because there's not a lot of Black people in the group, believe it or not. Very small percentage. Oh gosh, yes. very, very small percentage. And so I want to change that. And I want that when Black people do come in the group, they're not like, oh my God, this is, I'm out of here, because that's what's been happening. So I'm creating
Well,
these
that's
days where
not
only
good.
Black lives speak. And yeah, and that way they have the stage and they can express how they feel, promote their business, talk about what they're doing, do whatever they like without the extra chatter and everything else going on and getting drowned in everyone else's voices.
Jasmine, have you been involved in the group much?
Absolutely. I dropped a comment yesterday, and it was a pleasant experience for me. I was embraced with a lot of love. So I really love what Gwenna's doing, and I definitely understand where she's coming from, because you do have people. This lady Shashi called it the woke Olympics. Honestly, like, all races are guilty of, where you just want to sound like you're so racially woke, but you're not genuine in your intentions for wanting to create an environment of love. And that shows, when you're not genuine, it's obvious, and when you just want to sound smart, it's obvious. And
are you finding that the overall feeling of the group is love, or is it more people on the defense, or are we becoming solution oriented, or what's going on?
I think it's a lot of emotion right now. All these incidents are so fresh. So when things happen, you have people who are mad, you have people who are sad, you have people who are scared. So like, people haven't gotten a chance to calm down yet. So that's what I feel on social media in general. Like, I just feel like it's a lot of unrest, but we're getting to the point where people are starting to channel it into more productive avenues.
And are you finding that those that are for the animal rights movement are aligning with Black Lives Matter? Or are you finding that there's some resistance to that? You both are staring at me like, I don't know how to answer that one.
Well, and what I'm starting to see, and I say it on my page, what I'm seeing is I am seeing a lot of animal rights groups, pretty much giving people of color a platform on their pages. The only thing I'm skeptical of, though, is I am not a trend. Because I'm trending. What I do not want is for you to align with my with this movement right now, but then a month later, it's like, oh, okay, new cause of the week, or now that's
no, that's a good point. And I also think that that's a point with veganism in general too, because people are like, Beyond Meat, all these vegan products are hitting the market. Let's, promote veganism. But I don't think veganism is a trend either. I think veganism is the future, and racism needs to end, and the conversation needs to continue, because that's the only way to resolve anything, is to continue the dialogue. I think through dialogue we come to solutions when we have great minds put together.
Yes. And then reflection as well, when if you are that animal rights organization who you're just putting people of color on your platform for the very first time in 2020, and it took multiple thousands of people to lose their lives for you to do that, I'm not going to knock it, because I'm like, at the end of the day, progress is progress. But I hope the people who have done it have reflected on that. Like, wow, dang, it did take a while for me to finally just listen to someone outside of my norm.
Yes. Gwenna, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, she said it perfectly, as far as like the first thing about the temperature in the group. Yeah, everybody is, because every day there's something new. There's a new person, a new Black person that were found being hung and committing suicide. And so that creates more of a roar and more of a shock. I want to share something that I posted today. So now we approve posts in the group. Like, you just can't go in there and get random with it. And a lot of people, I've been declining a lot of posts where people are highlighting and championing the suffragettes. And I'm like, no. So I shared a post about how the suffragettes, they did a lot for women's rights, but they were actually very, very racist. And so when this new information comes out to white people, it's almost like news. It's like, what? I had no idea. It is shocking to me when I see that people don't know about Tulsa, people don't know about Rosewood, and they're like, I just heard about this for the first time. And I'm not going to act like I grew up knowing this information. I went to Cleveland Public Schools, and we were whitewashed with all of our education as well. I got a lot of my information from people that went to, HBCUs and passed that information on to me. But yeah, right now it's just a lot of like reprogramming. And when people are reprogramming and relearning, it doesn't always feel good. It hurts sometimes. I know when I went through that, when I went from Cleveland to living in Florida, and I found out that there were people that were Cuban that were my complexion. There were people, I was meeting people, like I had a stereotype of what humans look like. And I thought I was woke and, street smart, and I knew nothing. And so the reprogramming of being around so much culture, it was shocking to the point where I was almost like depressed from it. I'm like, I can't believe I've gone my whole life without knowing how the real world actually looks. So I think that is what is happening, a lot of shock and a lot of just like relearning information and sitting with it, sitting with the, all the pain that's happened over the years.
I mean, so Gwenna, but you're a very spiritual person, and I think you are very awoke, so at what point did that happen for you? Because, like you're saying, I admit I wasn't there right away, and I was shocked and I was depressed. I mean, everyone, part of the reason you're a leader now and you're an important voice. I mean, you were always an important voice for the vegan movement, for, founder of Vegans of LA and work for vegan outreach. But now you founded Vegans for Black Lives Matter, and that is not going away. That is not a trend. So knowing that, you have to also know that, gosh, you know what? I'm there. I live in the year 3000, like you said last week. I live in the year 3000, but I need to somehow be patient and accept that not everyone's going to live in the year 3000, and not everyone's going to wake up overnight. And we need to have a dialogue, and we need to have a soulful dialogue that is solution oriented. And I need to be able to do that without alienating people.
And you hit that right on the head. That's what I had to do. I had to look outside of myself and realize what I was doing, because I'm already I'm ready to tambourine and kumbaya and hug it out and kiss it out. Like, that's really what I want to do. But I had to realize, I've been able to skip a few things and move into the year 3000. And I'm like, let me tailor it back. Let me get in there with everybody, just like I tell people to do with veganism, like meet people where they are and not talk to people from the level that you're on. So I'm like, I have to apply that exact same principle for this group, because I had a lot of people that were coming in the group, a lot of Black people that were angry and ready to take it out.
Were they vegans?
Everybody's supposed to be vegan, but I'm not checking people for that right now. I just want people to come into the group and learn and everything. But the theme is you're supposed to be vegan and for Black Lives Matter. I'm more concerned about people being for Black Lives Matter right now than I am for them being vegan. Right. But I had to really check myself, because I was pushing the kumbaya and the love and mad at anybody that was ready for war. And I'm like, everybody doesn't have the same level of healing. Some people haven't had a chance to heal, had a chance to rest. They're living in environments, working in environments, dealing with racism constantly, and they're filled with pain. And so I'm like, I need to be able to tap back into that and be able to, because I made some mistakes. I put some people out of the group that I probably should have reached out to and maybe connected with, instead of just being so harsh. And so I do regret some of those decisions that I made.
It's not too late. It's not too late.
That's true.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I think that part of the process here is finding forgiveness in the process, because people are going to make mistakes. People's words are going to get minced, and people's intentions are going to be misinterpreted.
Yeah.
And, they think that this is a learning experience for everyone. And I think that it's important for vegans, especially because vegans are supposed to be an ethical movement. It's about extending our circle of compassion to all beings. And that means recognizing when our own kind and our own species is under attack. And that means we have to stand up against it. And this is a defining moment for the vegan movement, because it doesn't have to be just about animals. There's that, like I said last week, there's the animal rights movement, and then there's the vegan movement, and they are not the same thing. They are mutually aligned, but one is for the animals and one stands up against injustice, and racism is an injustice.
Mm-hmm.
My hope would be is that the vegan, people, one thing vegans do wrong, I think a lot of the time, is they act like their ethics and ideals are holier than thou, and then they alienate people from becoming vegan because they're acting like they are so morally aligned and correct. But in reality, this is our time as vegans to show up. And
Yes.
I am morally aligned. Look at what I'm going to stand up against. And this is what the vegan movement is. The vegan movement does not stand for oppression, injustice, suffering, racism, all of it. We don't stand for it. And that's what the movement, this is a defining moment for the movement to come out in the light. And I think, sometimes I was born and raised vegan. So I think that a lot of times the vegan movement is judged as being too strict or too holier than thou. And I mean, I grew up being made fun of, and I've gotten it all on that end of it. So I think that this is a moment for the vegan movement to unite as a movement and as a community and say, we stand in defense of Black Lives Matter. We stand up against racism. We stand up for justice, and we stand against injustice. Jasmine, are you finding that is what is happening among, I mean, I know you've been making lots of appearances. You are popular now. You are trending. But are you finding that is what is happening?
I'm like, I think I'm finding the same thing Gwenna is finding. I'm finding both. Like, I am finding the love, but at the same time, I am finding the anger as well. And, even for me, I'm kind of Team Gwenna, where I'm, Miss Kumbaya. And even when, even your choice to kind of put people out of a space, I'm not going to say I'm for or against it. I don't know, but I will say I admire the fact that you are, critical of people, even like yourself, who aren't moving in love. Because for me, this whole thing is a cycle. So even my Black friends, like, I'll hear them say things. They'll be like, yeah, see, this is how white people are. And white people are just so evil. And I have to check them. I have to say, like, no. Judging an entire race and attaching them to one behavior, that is the foundation of why what happened to us happened to us. So, like, I won't allow that in my space. It's like, you have to find a way. If you want to talk about racist people, talk about them all day. If you want to talk about white people in a bad light, I won't allow it. And even, Black people say, well, Black people can't be racist. It's one, I don't believe that. But even like, you can't be racist, I'll be like, okay, I'll take that. But you can be prejudiced, and you can also be hateful, which I don't condone that either. So, like, I just, in the vegan movement, outside of the vegan movement, no matter what, I move in love, and I need people around me to move in love. And when something happens, we have to find productive ways to address the problem, to talk about the problem, and to heal from the problem. But what we're not going to do, and what I'm not going to do, is be around people who want to keep the hatred alive.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, well said. From
Thank you.
The invisible vegan is not so invisible. Yeah, really well said, though, Jasmine. Gwenna, do you want to piggyback on that at all?
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because, it's odd. It was last week and part of the other week, I was getting so much criticism and it was coming from Black people and white people saying the same things. Why do you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why? And I'm like, well, maybe, I'm being outnumbered here in opinions. So, that was one of the things that made me kind of have to recenter myself. But then it's like trying to still find that balance of allowing people to express themselves, but not be toxic and hurting people at the same time, which is why I took one of the people out of the group. It was like they were finding, which I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I was finding that there were people that were drawn to this individual who almost like wanted to be punished and were allowing themselves to be like disrespected and talked down to. And I was reading that and I'm like, no, I can't have that in this group. that's not what this is for. Like, this is a place of healing, which I'm going to have to like sneak the healing in and bring it in there in ways where it's not so obvious. But yeah, I found that to be like so incredibly, it was scary to see that, because I'm like, okay, what's going to happen when things shift, and then we are in a position of more power? Are we going to express the kindness, or are we going to use that same exact energy, like you said, Jasmine, and then perpetuate the same type of behavior, and then we're back in another loop again? And I can't have that either. You know, I don't want this cycle being repeated over and over and over. So I think it's like people like us, we have to like make sure that we cut those type of people off, but also, you know, talk to them too and educate them like, hey, that's not the way. Like, you're being the same thing that you're fighting against.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then when you become, one of the things that attracted me to the vegan movement when I first kind of came into it is I liked the element of love. You know, I like the fact that, you know, now when I see a spider, before I used to just kill it. But like the movement, I've learned such a respect for life. You know, like, why would I kill it? Like, let this spider like live out his life. I'm gonna put him outside. He won't relocate.
I think honestly, that's the definition of a real vegan. You have a real vegan when you start going on rescue missions for insects. Right? Seriously, that's when you are like, I get it. Like that thing, everything has a life, everything has a feeling. Like, I get it. I have to love everything around me, and I have to stand up for it. And I have, like, you're not a vegan if it's just for animals. You're a vegan because your circle of compassion has extended beyond yourself, and you are guided by love.
Yes.
So I had this there. Your setting in your group, Gwenna, like I respect it. And sometimes when you're doing the right thing, like, you will be in the minority, but
you know what? It'll start a momentum and a movement, and people want to be part of communities, and people want to be part of a movement. So the more that there is a movement, and the more that people join, the more people are going to be attracted to join.
Yeah. And I wanted to, this is a funny little story to kind of go off of what Jasmine said about, you know, relocating bugs and things like that. One of the bugs that I'm most like terrified of, like, literally, I'll leave the whole space if a cockroach or something enters. I'm like, this is yours. You got it. And so I had like a dream type of experience where, because I was asking, I like to ask the universe for things. And so I was asking, I'm like, I need healing in this area because I don't want to be scared of them like that, you know?
Yeah.
And they must have some purpose because they've been here longer than anything and anyone on this planet. So I had this dream that I was like, it felt like I was in a well. And then I looked up and there were these two cockroaches and they were so freaking cute. And they were talking to me. Yeah. And I know, right? But it was I felt their souls. They had like little souls.
Oh.
And and they said, hey, who's stronger, who's tougher than us? And I was like, nobody. And they said, yeah, they would tell me all the things they survived. They're like, we survived bombings, we survived this, we survived that, and guess what, we're still here. I said, yes, you are. And so it took away, I'm not going to say like if I see one I'm going to be like playing with it or anything, but it did tell some, like, there's a layer that's been taken off. So I just feel like I wanted to share that.
Well, that is a whole new level of evolution to say, I look at these cockroaches and aren't they cute? And they have these little souls. I'm more like, okay, let me get a piece of paper. How am I going to get this out the door without killing it? But I don't want to touch it. Like, I got it, you know. But yeah, you know, and I actually, you know, was staying at Jane Velez Mitchell's house before this whole COVID thing, and she had ants in her kitchen, and I remember we were trying to rescue the ants, and we were literally having conversations with them, telling them to leave by the morning because we don't want to have to do anything to them. So,
yeah, ants are no joke. If ants were in the position, they would murder you. Like, they're not to negotiate with.
Can't negotiate with the ants. Let me add to the screen Aaron and Brenda. They're with Seasoned Vegan. Hi, guys. Uh-oh, we can't hear you. No audio. I wanted to hear how.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you guys. Can't hear anything. We see your lips moving. Yeah. Maybe you can fix that and let us know. So there was Seasoned Vegan, a delicious. Have you guys been to that restaurant in Harlem, New York?
No, but I've drooled over the videos I've seen. Like, oh my God, I would love. I don't know if
it's super good.
Mail plates or what, but I would love to try it.
No, the thing that's crazy about this experience for me is I have been to Seasoned Vegan because I interviewed Aaron and Brenda for my documentary for the Invisible Vegan. When I got back to LA, something was wrong with the card and their audio didn't work correctly.
Oh my God, and here we are full circle.
Yeah, I was like, no!
Oh,
no. The Invisible Vegan here doesn't have audio. Again.
Right. Maybe I'm bad luck.
I don't know. You know what I did see in the documentary? I watched it before last week's show. Everyone should watch Invisible Vegan, by the way, on Amazon Prime if you haven't watched it yet. It's a really, you really got into the throes of racism beyond just the prejudice and the hate that you were talking about earlier, but nutritional racism, educational racism, and how it really is systemic. And we need to find a solution to the system somehow, education, nutrition, medical care, housing. It is across the board a problem.
Yes. And I think what's important is kind of spaces like this. Like in my film, I wanted to talk about racism within the vegan movement, but I wanted to do it in a way that was reflective and not divisive. Just in a way like, hey, dear white people, look, this is what some of you all are doing. Maybe if we could correct this behavior and move forward, opposed to, I want to be militant and judge people and just create more tension, know?
And I think that's what's key too, is like, it's hard to have the conversation because when people do have good intentions, they are afraid of being misinterpreted. So they're afraid to talk. I mean, because, like me, I'm not Black, right? Like I had to get to a point where like, okay, you know what? I'm going to just be brave and have the dialogue and subject myself to saying something wrong that I didn't mean, but it's going to be interpreted another way. And then it's going to be floating on the internet. And then I could get a lot of backlash and, but then you have to say, you know what? The conversation's important and the conversation needs to be had, and it's a learning experience for everyone. And if I do make a mistake, I'll learn, and hopefully someone else will learn, with me. And it's really important to just get through the conversations to solutions.
Yes, I agree. And even as a Black woman, like I'm like, oh, can I say this? Is it okay if I say that? Like, because things change, definitions change. There's a new term, I can't even remember what it was, but I saw something being posted that we're no longer saying intersectionality. There's a new word. I'm like, okay.
What's the new word?
I can't even remember because I was just like, I've had it.
Yeah, well, it's a lot to learn.
Can y'all hear us now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now. So any insight from listening to our conversation? What's going on in New York? How are you guys? How's the business? What is your feelings around everything? Loaded question, compound question. You can object.
No, I mean it's every day is different. Like this whole situation has really has put us on our toes and kept us on our toes because literally like the law is changing every day. As it relates to the restaurant and first it was all the COVID stuff having to do with the regulations in terms of the social distancing and things of that nature. And then it became, curfew stuff with the protests. So everything is really a day-to-day kind of situation. But we are really fortunate to be able to be, positioned as a business that is, not only essential because of, the fact that people need access to food, but the type of food that is, the people really need the heavy nutrients and the high vibrations at this time, all the way around, whether it be for diet or, just for our social, feelings, our spirit in general. So we're happy to be able to be here and be positioned to help as best we can.
Okay, and I'm sorry to hear that on the Invisible Vegan you lost your audio and it didn't work out. So, Jasmine, what is it that you would ask them that you wish you had audio on that didn't get destroyed? What would you like them to answer?
Well, I mean, they answer. Oh my God, they answer so many great questions. And I know even one thing that Brenda talked about in her interview that I really wanted to do is how her menopause process was being vegan. I wanted that in the film so bad, and it just when I got back, the car was just messed up, and I broke down.
Oh no! So the menopause, because the audio is a little screechy. Do you hear that too on the audio, or is that just?
I think that's from Seasoned Vegan. It sounds like it's a little screechy in the background.
Oh well, then let me. No, I don't think it's them. I hear the screechiness too, and it's affecting, what's coming through from Jasmine. All right. Maybe it's your end, Jasmine. I don't know.
Can you guys?
Anyway, all right, we'll deal with it. So something happened that in menopause that made you go vegan, Brenda?
Oh no.
Oh
no, not
I
at
didn't
all.
hear it then.
It's what I've realized since I've been a vegan. I have not had one day of menopause.
Oh, that's what was said.
And in comparison to people who, my friends and all, and family members, I thought it was just something that I was going through. And then there was this broadcast on one of the Manhattan Network stations. And one of the women who was around my age, she had made a statement. She says, "Oh, I'm in my 60s and I've never had a day of menopause since I've been a vegan." And she's been a vegan for over 20 some odd years. And then a bell went off. I was like, wait a minute, that sounds like me. I have not experienced one day of menopause. And when I speak to women who have gone through menopause with the hot flashes and the just every part of it, I've never experienced anything. And I do relate it to my way of life. And I have to say, I am so happy to be a vegan because because of that, because of women and their experiences with it, it's not a very comfortable feeling that they go through. And I'll be 67 this year. Sometimes I forget my age. I'll be 67 this year. And to know that I have not experienced that is wonderful. And I do owe it all to my way of life. Like for me, it's not a diet. People call it a diet. For me, it's not.
It's not a diet.
And no, it's not a diet at all. I've chosen to live this way. And from the womb, my children have never had meat.
Red meat.
That's amazing. So I was raised vegan. So you were way ahead of your time then to be raising your kids that way.
Oh, definitely. We were taboo.
We were all over plant-based. We ate some
chicken and fish,
and poultry, but that's still not eating beef and pork in the 90s made me the weirdo for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we were taboo. Like, we were not invited to people's functions. We were at first, but we weren't invited to people's functions, and the excuses were, "Oh, we don't know what to feed you guys," things like that. But we survived it. And it was a struggle at times for my children, but I kept them focused. Like, no, we're not going to eat that. And my husband would explain to them, like, why we're not eating animals and why we chose this type of lifestyle. My husband went on a fast 25 years ago, right?
Maybe even longer.
Maybe longer now, right? He went on a 21-day fast at the time. And when he completed the fast, he came home and he told us, like, okay, I'm no longer eating chicken, fish, or dairy.
I asked him recently. He told me he lost 60 pounds in that 21 days.
Yeah, and he had lost 60 pounds. And
wow.
myself and my children were in shock because like dairy and chicken and fish was a part of our regular diet. Like my parents are from Louisiana, so I grew up with fish in my mouth. So that was like really a hard thing for me to have to give up. But I've been a strict vegan now for about maybe, I don't even know. It's been so long. Maybe like 17 years or something.
Maybe something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. And my husband's been a strict vegan for over probably in 30 some odd years now. But it's
yeah, and where did you grow? Where were you guys living to be vegan 30 something years ago?
in Harlem. We were living in Harlem. We're Harlemites. This is the only place we've ever lived. So
we had to leave Harlem for 2 decades to get plant-based food.
Yeah.
And that's why we have our restaurant here in this neighborhood. You know, if we could have put it anywhere in the city, you know, based on the demand, and at the time based on, you know, just the whole trendiness of veganism. Like 10 years ago, it was like really hitting the scene. But we're here to provide food for our community. When we were doing our research, the CDC said that the 2 reasons why people did not have healthy diets was 1, access, and 2, affordability. So we decided that we were able to combat both of those things by being here in this neighborhood and having a completely plant-based restaurant.
Yeah.
I remember friends saying to me before we opened the restaurant was that Black people were not going to visit our restaurant. You know, Black people are not going to come to your restaurant. You know, they don't eat like that. They want soul food. And I was like, they most definitely are going to come because I'm going to introduce them to something, a whole nother lifestyle. And they were like, yeah, right. They're not going to come. And we have a very, very large Black following, we would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's these times, I think.
Were they vegans, or are you bringing in like transitioning people into the restaurant? Are they vegan?
Yeah.
Everybody. Yeah. I remember when I was there, I ordered like everything off the menu because I wanted to try everything. I think that you had a crab, like what was a crab? What was a sandwich with the was it crab meat?
Crawfish.
That was really good. Yeah. I haven't been there in like a year. I'm in Florida right now. But yeah, everyone should go to Seasoned Vegan because food is really good. Everything I tried was really good. But I guess you've had a long time to perfect the recipes if you guys have been vegan that long.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, she had some really tough critics too.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I was 10
sure.
at the time. My sister, I was 10 when my dad went vegan. My sister was 7 years old. So, and I mean, we really had my mom set a high standard for food. You know, she always was a really good cook. And so when she transitioned from using, you know, animal ingredients to strictly plant-based ingredients, there was like a lag in the carryover from her recipes. You know, I didn't quite hit like those other things we were used to. So it took a little bit, but after a few years, she really started to really figure out that essentially she can use her same recipe she was using, but just switch out the ingredients, and that made all the difference.
Yeah, it was more challenging for me than it really should have been, because I realized that I had bought all of these vegetarian cookbooks and vegan cookbooks, and they just really weren't working for me. And then I realized that what I had to do was just remove animal products from my diet. That was simple. I just started removing animal products and preparing my food the way that I knew how to cook, period. I just did not concentrate on the dairy aspect of it or the animal. I just removed all that and just cooked my food. And what I did was I followed a lot of my mom's recipes. So I just used a whole lot of spices and seasoned my food, and Seasoned Vegan was born. It's pretty easy.
It's so good. Jasmine, have you eaten there?
Yeah, I ate there, and I remember I had these cookies, and they were so good that I wanted to savor them. and I brought 3 home with me. I should have brought more. And I remember dividing them into 4 and like only taking like a little bit to share with my mom every day so they would last longer.
So, did you guys find that during COVID that you were able to keep business going through deliveries, or what did you guys do to keep the doors open?
Well, we've been doing just following the regulation essentially, which is just pickups, takeouts, and deliveries. And it's been tough. I mean, our revenues are down like 75%.
Wow.
Most of our business is dine-in. You know, we're the first full-service vegan restaurant in Harlem, but essentially, like, our whole model is full service because we wanted to really provide that whole experience to people so that they can see that, you know, veganism is normal. You can come to a restaurant where there are people who look like you, where the music is rocking, where you can have a conversation with your neighbor, and it just happens to be, you know, a plant-based meal. Yeah, that's not really like the focus. But now, you know, like I said, although our revenues are super down, we're still like positioned to be to be sustainable. You know, because people really at this time, you know, some people are really being jostled from their sleep, and it's great. You know, and so people are looking for high vibes, high you know, nutrient based, you know, not only food but also just high vibes in general. People are searching it out in their world, you know, and that's why it's really interesting times that, you know, we're living in. It's like our nation has been, you know, riddled with just all types of ignorance, and that's being confronted now because it's really hard to ignore what's going on. And so that is bringing a lot of new people to us. You know, we have an amazing following, a core following that support us, you know, over the years. But we've seen a lot of new people since this whole situation went down.
And are they vegans that you're seeing, or are they Black people that are wanting to be vegan? What kind of people are walking in the door now?
Well, it's always been a mix. You know, we kind of made sure that we're a place that can be accessible to all types of eaters, you know, because we know that we're dealing with a high proportion of people in the neighborhood who are not plant-based. And so we needed to make it attractive to them. So, I mean, we have people who are seeking us out specifically to support us. Those tend to be like the vegan people, just to make sure that we can stay around. And those are like strictly vegan people. But we have from the strictest of, like, you know, alkaline raw vegans all the way to people who are like, you know what, I have been confronted with some issues in my life recently, no matter what they are, and I am here to try something new. And so it's beautiful to be able to provide something that is able to just reach people on such a large spectrum.
And are you have you guys joined Vegans for Black Lives Matter, the Facebook group? Gwenna, have you let them in?
I will as soon as we get off this call.
What?
I'm on there as soon as we get off this call.
Well, you're on a wait list then. Yeah, there's a wait list. I got off the wait list last week, but I've had to pretty much bribe her to do so. Do you know about this group? Like, she came up with it like a few weeks ago, and overnight there was 1,000 people, and then now there's 5,000 people on a wait list to enter.
Well, there's not 5,000 on the wait list. We just made it to where there wouldn't be 5,000. But yeah, but it will be soon. But just before
there's
you enter,
3,000 in the group.
Yeah, there's 3,000 in the group. But just know when you enter, there's definitely a lot more white people in the group than Black people. So I have days to where only Black voices are allowed to speak and post on the group. That way we're not drowned out. So when you come in, don't be scared. Just hang on. I'm working it out.
Gotcha.
I think they'll hang on. You guys are a highly enlightened group of people. A bunch of people. And, you know, I mean, 30 years, 17 years of veganism. I mean, and being able to have the fortitude inside to deal with being taboo and deal with being different. And then not only deal with being different, but to push through it and come up with a recipe in a restaurant to then show people why being different is great, and owning it speaks volumes about their ability to stick through things. So I'm sure that you guys could add to the movement in many ways.
Yes.
All important voices.
Yeah, I mean, our initial goal was always to directly combat the health issues in our community. You know, like when we were just when we were living this lifestyle in our own apartments, we were seeing our, you know, friends and family members, neighbors, you know, fall ill to diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, all these type of things. So, you know, our initial desire was to be able to provide an option that helps people, you know, increase their immune system and live a healthier lives. So now, you know, almost 10 years later, you know, this was we just celebrated our 6-year anniversary during the quarantine. But like, we're still doing the same thing. You know, it's like essentially we were able to get back to our core in so many ways through this quarantine, because, you know, we had to pretty much lay off our entire staff. So it's basically back to my mother, myself, Pascal, my Morehouse bro, we all started this together. And basically back to the same mission, you know, providing our community with, you know, a healthy vibration through the most trying of health times right now.
We've never walked away from the mission. The mission is always first. And this is a mission that we're on. Like I started, my whole way of life started almost 45 years ago when I first stopped eating meat, you know, red meat and pork and all that. So I've been on this journey for a very, very long time. Matter of fact, oh goodness, it's 50 years now. I have to think back on my age. Okay, yeah, it's been 50 years when I first stopped eating pork.
What started it in what started it in your family? Was it health?
No. Matter of fact, well, my brother started talking about pork and the ill effects of pork. I was about maybe 15 years old. And as soon as he told me about that there were worms in the pork and that you're cooking the pork, and my mother signed off and was like, yeah, that's true. I was like, excuse me, I've been eating cooked worms. That was it for me. I stopped eating pork.
But people need to know that. I didn't even know that. I mean, I was born and raised vegan, so I wouldn't know necessarily that. But I don't think people know that there's worms in their pork and you're eating cooked worms. Like, ew.
There's a lot of people that do know that and still eat it. Because I've brought this up to folks and they're like, yeah, you know, I know that. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, for me, that was it. As soon as I found that out, that was it. Then I met a
disgusting.
A friend of mine, and her name was Gigi. And Gigi, this was back in the 70s, I think. In the 70s, Gigi was not eating meat. And I was fascinated by that because I was interested in it, but I didn't know how to go about it. And so Gigi didn't eat red meat either. So Gigi took me down a path of like an introduction to like how you do this. But then my mom was so set on me eating meat because my mom was from that old school, like you have to have meat. If you're not, you're going to die. So my mom made an announcement to my father that I was going to die because I didn't eat meat. And so my mom started, I used to eat, which I'm not proud of, but I used to eat veal chops. And my mom fixed it. She made it every day for 2 weeks. That's cruel. She made it every day for 2 weeks. And every day I would come home, there'd be this smell of veal chops and gravy. Oh God. And then finally I folded. But then I met my husband. And I met my husband who was not eating meat. So I was like, you know, this is destined. And we've been together over 40 years. He really showed me like how to do this. And to this day, I'm so thankful for him, you know. And this was like early 70s, and I wasn't eating beef or pork or any of that. I was still eating chicken and fish, but it was wonderful. So I've been away from it for so long. The smell of it annoys me, just all of it. So. I love
I know
this life.
it's like, I know. I mean, it is true that the smell does affect vegans. It's like if you're not a smoker and you're around someone that smokes, you don't want to be around them. And same thing with meat. There's a smell to it, and if you're not consuming it and you don't crave it and you don't eat it, there is a smell that is repulsive to us.
Yes. Yeah.
But not to everyone. There are the transitioning vegans who will still salivate for it because there is addictive qualities and components in meat that make people want it, which is why I think it's great that there's so many new products hitting the market that can fulfill those taste buds, because people do want that and we need to be able to offer them that. But, you know, when you're vegan like at 40 years or vegetarian into veganism, and for me for life, I don't crave those flavors. Like if a burger tastes too much like a burger, I don't want it. I want a burger that tastes like a black bean patty. Like that's what I want to eat. But that's what I was raised eating, you know? So my taste buds have accommodated that.
Okay.
What made you, yeah, go ahead, Jasmine.
I just wanted to, because I was looking at the live comments, right? And it's kind of congratulating us about being compassionate. But then a comment that said, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, you know, it's all relevant. And so just because I'm on the channel, I want to make sure that I'm very, you know, I am actually not an all lives matter person, only because I think that Black Lives Matter, just explain it for the few other day. When there's mercy for animals, right? I would never go to do the mercy for animals to say, no, it's mercy for everyone. It's like, no. Mercy for animals is designed to address a certain issue. Black Lives Matter is designed to, it's a brand for a specific issue. So to say, you know, like, no, we're not talking about that, we're talking about everyone, it harms the marginalized group that it's meant to address. And when people say Black Lives Matter, it's not a way saying that other lives don't. It's just like, no, it's for this specific group.
I know.
We can't hear you.
For animals, it's for animals. So
your sound is going in and out. Like we can hear you, but it gets muffled a little bit. I don't know.
I know. I think I'm going to reset my sound thing. I hate to do this, but I don't know if it's my end. Do you hear all that garble in the background?
What
I hear it on yours too.
One by one.
I don't know who's. Let me mute myself. Do you still?
We don't hear it.
All right. How about now?
And now I'm unmute. So it's back. Is it on my end?
Put a mute again.
All right. Testing 1, 2, 3. How do I sound?
You sound good. You're still there.
Sound good.
Okay, next person.
All right, I'm coming back.
We
now,
can hear everybody clearly except for Jasmine.
You can hear everyone clearly.
I'm gonna mute. Let me mute myself.
Stick with us, everybody. It's just that important things are being said, you know? I mean, important things are being said and we want it heard. I still hear it in my ear, that garble. I don't know if everyone else hears it. I wonder if it's my end.
Okay. But Brenda and Aaron, can you try to mute yours real quick?
Oh, I think it's better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll take you off mute when we talk again. But Jasmine, do you want to say, can you repeat what you said? Because it was important and I don't know if it'll come out exactly the same. But yes, you're right. There are some comments here and they do need to be addressed and not ignored because that's how the dialogue is going to happen. So go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I just wanted to address, you know, because me and Gwenna, we were talking about, you know, compassion. And someone wrote, you know, yeah, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, it's all relevant. And I just wanted to make the correction that I do not, you know, I'm not in support of the all lives matter phrase, only because, you know, when you see mercy for animals, it would be inappropriate for me to say, no, mercy for everyone, mercy for all human beings. It's like, no, mercy for animals, that is a platform, a brand that's meant to address the systemic abuse that animals are going through. And I wouldn't take that from that organization. So Black Lives Matter is also a brand, an organization that is addressing the systemic abuse that African Americans are suffering at the hands of the justice system. That's what their purpose is. So to say, no, all lives matter, it's like you're completely just undermining their whole purpose and decentering the people that organization is meant to help. So it is all lives matter to me. It's inappropriate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does take away the focus of what we're dealing with right now, which is the fact that we are dealing with systemic racism. Gwenna, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I keep seeing people that I considered allies or people that I kind of admired in the movement that keep posting this. And to me, at this point, if you're still creating a special post on your social media saying all lives matter, you're being a shit starter. And those are the type of people, like I'm noting, I'm keeping a mental note of the people that are doing this, because I think we've expressed enough and explained enough that yes, we know that all lives matter, because that's just how it is. We know that all sentient beings matter. But like Jasmine said, we're focusing on Black lives because we need the help. We need all hands on deck right now. We can't do it alone. We need your platform. We need your finances. We need your resources. We need everything that everyone can offer to help this particular cause. So to continue to do that, to me, especially when I see a white person do that, to me, I find you have some racism in you. Because if you can't sit still for a minute and allow us to use this hashtag in this moment to promote this, and you still feel like you need to say all lives matter, you are not an ally, and you're definitely not someone that I trust going forward. And I can get really heated on this topic, so I'm gonna shut it down real quick.
No, but I think it's important though that people do hear it and understand it, because you're coming from a place where it's ingrained in you, this is who you are. So you have a voice, and you have a voice for the animals and the movement. And I think people also need to understand that some of the most important voices for the animal rights movement are Black lives. I mean, you're a major voice, and Jasmine, you're a major voice, and Seasoned Vegan is a major statement. I mean, and this is way before. I mean, how long has Black Lives Matter even been a campaign?
Since 2013, I want to say. Since
okay. So you guys have been Black life voices in a major movement. Then the movement could not be without your voices. I mean, Vegans of LA, hello. I mean, you guys are part of this movement, and we need to be in defense of the lives that we need as allies as well, to help us, as it's a mutually aligned, not exclusive movement. And it can't take away from the fact that racism is happening and talk about animals when Black lives are in danger. That's the reality.
Yeah, it's always been weird to me. When I first entered the movement, I was like Jasmine, I was very drawn to it because I was like looking at everything like rainbows, unicorns, and fairies. I was just like, oh my God, look at these group of human beings. They care about animals so much. Like, this must be an enlightened group of human beings, which vegans are. I'm not going to take away from that. You have to really have a really special place in your heart to really care about another species the way that I see vegans do. But I would notice that every time I would try to create a conversation about what was going on with humans, it would be like, so it was just, I'm like, am I in a Twilight Zone? Like, because we are human beings too. And if you're in a human body, you don't say, you don't ignore a pain on your body because you care about animals. You don't ignore what's going on with your children if they're hurting or suffering because you care about a baby seal. Like, you still address the issues that are going on with humans. So it just was always weird to me. Strange.
Well, and I think that, for people who do care about for animals, which we all do here, right? Anyway, we do care. It's unrealistic to expect our circle of compassion as humanity to extend to animals if we cannot extend it to our own species. So we have to extend our circle of compassion and recognize when our own kind, doesn't matter the skin tone, our own kind is in danger by our own kind. I mean, we have a major.
I know.
So
by our own kind. Exactly. You said it perfectly. Our own kind, endangered by our own kind. And maybe that's one of the reasons that maybe there's something inside of people that makes them afraid to really center on that and pay attention on it, because they would have to really take some responsibility that they're not willing to take. So I do commend the organizations that have stepped up and that, you know, had issues in the past. Because I know people want to say, oh, at this organization, they did this and they did that. And I'm like, you know, I'm starting brand new. Because a lot of people are losing funding. A lot of organizations and animal sanctuaries are losing funding because they're speaking up and saying Black Lives Matter, and that's horrible. So I commend any organization, no matter what you did in the past. If you're speaking up now, okay, let's create a new story. Like, I commend you, and I don't want to hear no crap about what they did last year or last week. Everybody gets a fresh start. You make a mistake, you start over. And I, you know, give that to these AR organizations as well.
All right, and I'm going to give you guys some chance to have the final word. Jasmine, do you want to add anything since we're out of time?
Well, I just want to say, you know, especially in, you know, I follow a lot of vegans, and I get people who, you know, the All Lives Matter group and everything. Like, I understand why you might not get it. I don't accept it. I understand. I don't accept it. But I will say, like, just think about how vulnerable of a place a person has to be in to beg the country, because that's what's happening. We're begging the country to understand that our lives have value. The fact that I even have to say to my government that my life matters, the thought of that is sickening. Like, you know, and if you're an affluent white woman, I'm not an affluent white woman, but I know that they don't worry about a police officer shooting them point blank and murdering them when they have their hands in the air. I don't even think that's the concern that they have. So just know, like, those are the concerns that we have, and extend the compassion that you've extended to all these other sentient beings to us, especially in a moment where we are being persecuted, like right at this moment. So please have compassion.
Yeah, and I just want to say something to that too. Like, I've seen some things floating on the internet about, you know, oh, well, look at his rap sheet and look at all the things he did, as if like maybe that he deserved it or that he wasn't some angel or whatever. But I have to remind people that this is America, and that's why there are grand juries, and that's why we have a justice system where you are innocent until proven guilty. So that people need to stop talking about that. Like, that is
that's because
relevant.
They've
and if
normalized violence.
if he had a past, he's already served his time for that past. So that is irrelevant and erased. It's talking about what you just said, Gwenna, starting afresh, starting from now, you know, I'm sorry, like, no justification for what's happening in terms of police brutality. None.
And that's because we've normalized violence so much. We've become so desensitized. Like, oh, he ran. That's why he got shot. Oh, he resisted. He shouldn't have spoke back. Like, you think it's okay to shoot a person in the back because they run?
No.
You got to think.
That's retraining or something. The problem is cops are trained. I was having a conversation last night. My paralegal is an ex-cop. And I was talking to her, and, you know, I was kind of curious about her stance. I never really asked the question. You know, it's one of those uncomfortable situations. Like, where does she stand on this, you know? And she said that when cops are trained to kill, she's like, so she said she believes that it needs to come down to a retraining issue. It's cops are trained to pull their gun and kill at the first moment that they have resistance or they feel like their life could be in danger based on where they were in that moment, and whether or not that could be a reasonable feeling in that moment. So yeah, you know.
May I say something?
Yes.
There is a very thin line there, because cops are not trained to kill white people. If you see incidences where police are in a situation and they're dealing with someone that's white, they never even think of killing them. But if there's a situation and they're dealing with someone who's black, the first thought that comes into their mind is to murder them. I have sat down throughout my entire life and I have watched from the civil rights movements where I sat at my mom's television set and watched them sick dogs on us, fire hoses, not from this new film, from actually being there when it's happening. And to this day, 2020, they are still doing the same thing.
Literally lynching people.
Now
in New York City.
They're back to lynching us. So they're not trained to shoot and kill their own. They are trained and they are brainwashed to kill us. And we have to make sure that that is stated and the separation of that has to be made clear to people, because they are not killing.
They shouldn't be killing anybody.
Right.
This is
right.
So that is
horrible.
incarcerated right now. Not everyone incarcerated should be rightfully incarcerated. Incarcerated. So to look up people's records and say, oh, you've done this, you've done that. There are a lot of Black people in jail who have no business being there, who were never guilty in the first place.
It's so easy to go to jail as a Black man. Like, it's just, I've had so many opportunities to go to jail, you know, and luckily I've been able to avoid that pitfall just based on training and luck, circumstance. But it's so easy to go to jail. When I was 20 years old, I remember how old I was because the number of times I got pulled over in the 2 months I was home from college between my junior and senior year was the same number as my age. I got pulled over 20 times in 2 months and I didn't get one ticket. That's because not one of those stops were justified. And that's just a 2-month span of my life. And so, like, they don't care who you are. They don't know who you are. Like, I had just finished graduate school. One time I was with my brother. It was his birthday. And we got pulled over right after we picked up a birthday cake from his mom's house. And the cop literally put gloves on and dug inside the cake to, like, you know, prove to himself that there were no weapons or drugs inside the cake. And then when we, you know, confronted him about it, like, you know, why are you doing this to us? We, you know, we're college students. You know, I just came back from grad school, and he was like, you know, it's the smart ones that are the masterminds. So it doesn't matter what you do when you're in this game. Like, you can be a scholar, you can be a healer, you can be a doctor. Like, it doesn't matter. The attack is on.
I'd like to say something to that too. And it really doesn't matter. Well, as a woman, I have been pulled over, and my husband had to correct me on this. They looked at my license and they said to me, oh, you know, there's a warrant out for you. I was like, excuse me? And I chuckled. So my husband was like, no, you know, you can't laugh. You can't laugh at that. I said, honey, I have never had a warrant out for me. But this is the excuse that they use to me to tell me, oh, there's a warrant out for you, so we're going to, what are you talking about? So the lies, the deceit, the cruelty that they place on us, the non-education, the building of more prisons for us to occupy. This society, see, I'm very passionate about this. And this hits me in the core because I have a husband, a son, nephews, grandson. I have cousins, I have friends, all of these people in my life that are Black men that I fear for. I fear for them. I fear for these sisters sitting here. That's what I'm saying. Women aren't safe either. If they pulled me over and said that there was a warrant out for my arrest, they let me go because there was no warrant. But it's the lies that they tell to hold you and to incarcerate you on lies. It's terrible.
Probably been stopped and confronted by police in my life over 50 times. You know, I've never been to jail, never been arrested. You know, so that's just how it is. I feel for. It's like, and once you are arrested and you have that stigma attached to your record, I can only imagine what it is, because the treatment that I get without having those attachments on my record, without having some type of felony charge or any type of record, I get treated as if I were an ex-felon or something like that. So the people that are, I mean, I can only imagine the type of interactions that they have.
Can I just say this one thing very quickly? I remember when my son was given a summons, he had just came home from school. Him and his friends were sitting in the park. There was a sign, you remember? And I took pictures of all the signs and everything for the park. We went to court. We went before the judge. And the judge says, okay, well, I'm going to throw this out, but I'm going to keep this on your record. So if you're ever pulled over again, then you can be arrested. I was like, hold up, judge. I said it just like that, too. I pulled out my camera. I said, here are pictures. I said, here are pictures of the park. Here are pictures of the sign. I said, my son rightfully should have been in that park. And the judge looked at the picture. He was like, oh, okay, then yeah, I'm not going to put this on your record. Think of the people that are there who do not have photos. Who do not,
who advocate for them,
or someone to advocate for them.
We were in the park because we had bought some tickets to go to the movies, and the movie was maybe like an hour away from when we
down the block.
Yeah, like literally across the street. We had the tickets in our hand. We showed the officer. We're like, hey, the movie starts in about half an hour. We're just hanging out until the movie begins. They don't care. It doesn't matter. They gave us all tickets, even we all had.
But thank goodness that I had to have photos to prove it, or this was going to be on my son's record. God knows for how long.
What's happening now is that we are our whole country is being confronted with all the stuff that we've tried to sweep under the rug for centuries.
Yep.
And now it's time to get radical, which means we have to get to the root of the issue. So when we're talking about police training, which is, where this conversation stems from, we really got to talk about, how police were created in the first place. And, police are an evolution of slave patrol. So at the end of the day, from the beginning, we're dealing with a situation that is totally biased from one side to the other. Mm-hmm. And so if we don't confront that reality, then we're not going to be able to deal with the issue.
And a police officer who already has complaints, you should not wait until there's 16 complaints about a police officer before anything, and then he kills somebody, for either something to be done about it or it to be continued to be ignored. If you are the type of police officer where people are complaining about you, you should not be a police officer, period. Not an extension of time, not an extension of years until you actually kill somebody. And people have to come out in the street and demonstrate. And then the majority of the time, you get a slap on the back of your hand and you go on with your life. And these families are devastated because their loved ones are no longer there. I don't care how many crimes you've committed. For you to be shot in the back and or to be shot with your hands held up high, and then they bring up all of this dirt about you to make you seem as though you were not a human being.
You're not deserving of life.
Begin with, and you have no deservance to live, is a total disrespect and disgrace. And this country should be ashamed of themselves. They should be ashamed and to stand behind there. Somebody said to me, oh, there are not so many bad cops. Let me tell you something. If you do not speak up, you're a bad cop, period. If you do not confront another police officer who's doing something that you see he's doing wrong and you don't say anything, you're a bad cop. A good cop is a cop who's going to go and defense of the person that you're supposed to be protecting. Yeah. Not stand there and don't say anything. You're all guilty.
It's funny, the irony that they refer to what they like to make us think as rogue officers as bad apples is so funny because they never talk about the rest of the phrase, which is one bad apple spoils the whole bunch.
Exactly.
So if you acknowledge that there are bad apples, then you have to acknowledge that the bunch is spoiled.
Exactly.
Well, it's the same thing actually.
I'm very passionate.
No, it's the same thing
this hits home for me, and I'm tired of turning on the television. I'm tired of it and looking at all of these black men being killed. And women. You can't even sleep in your own bed. What is going on? You can't sleep in your own bed, the comforts of your home where you are secure and you know that no one's going to bother you here. You can kick my door in without a warrant and kill me? No. And it's okay? It's fine. And white people look at this as, oh, well, they must have been doing something. Some white people, they must have been doing something, or they deserved it. Please, come on.
Some people in general.
It's terrible. Yeah. Just people, it's terrible. You shouldn't have been there. Why shouldn't you stood out in front of your building? Why don't you have the right? So okay, I've said what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
No, I think that no. I just noticed that the video stopped on Jane's website. It's still streaming elsewhere. So I was. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Paige texted me.
Are we still live?
We're live on YouTube. We're live on probably Periscope, Jane's Periscope, and we're live on
We can't hear y'all.
Facebook. You can't hear. We're just. I don't know what happened. Yeah, but I don't think on Jane Unchained's. I'm not sure. I don't know. Paige just texted me, but we are still live. But it cut off on one platform while she was saying all that. Yeah, all good points. I'm a former prosecutor. I don't know if you guys know that, but and when you say that when one person's bad, that the pool gets poisoned, that's what happens on jury trials. If one juror does something they're not supposed to do, the whole pool gets poisoned, and it's a bad jury panel, and you get a mistrial. So, yeah, we need an overhaul of our justice system. Anyway, we're out of time, and I'm going to bring up every show. We always have a BeVeg certified vegan product that we feature. And this week we have, I'm going to add her, Wendy Grossman. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, everybody.
Wendy is from Wendy's Nutty Kitchen in New York, right?
Up near Woodstock.
Yes. Oh, you're by the sanctuary.
Yeah, I'm on in a tiny town called Phoenicia, and we have the Zen monastery down the road. We have the Menla Mountain Retreat, the Tibet Center on my road at the dead end. So I'm kind of surrounded by sanctuaries.
I think that's what we all need right now, to be surrounded by
I think so.
Time to meditate.
I want to thank everybody for that incredibly heartfelt discussion that I was privy to listen to.
Yeah.
And I especially love the fact that you brought love and higher vibe right into the conversation. And so we've all been so angry for so many weeks, and as soon as you said that, my shoulders just went down a little bit. That's really, it was lovely.
But the conversation we need to be having, an enlightened conversation that's dealing with very heavy issues. So it's hard to have a light, it's not a light conversation, but we have to bring in light principles to a very heavy conversation. Exactly. And it's not easy. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy to do it with love and high vibe. It's like real easy to just go to that angry.
Yeah, anger.
Yeah. Anyway,
anger is not going to be a solution to. I don't know what the solution is.
I think it's very healthy. Let me tell you this. I kind of had that mindset. Like I would always block anger, suppress it, push it out, push it away. But when you have it, you have it. I don't care what you try to do to get rid of it or ignore it. And that's why when all the uprisings started, people were like, oh, just pray, be peace. It's like, you know what? No, let people be mad, because that's how you can get to peace, is to allow your feelings to be expressed. I'm not saying go out there with no AK and, do any damage, but I'm saying you need to allow for that rage and that feeling and sit with it and do something with it, because sometimes anger is a motivator, as you can see, because if we all kumbaya this to death,
exactly,
it would be the same stuff. We needed to make people scared and get out in those streets and make noise and say enough is enough. And it's so beautiful, because I feel like collectively, almost simultaneously, every Black person was like, ding, that's it. Like we were like, that's it. Like after we saw what happened with George Floyd, we were like, that's it.
Yeah, the last
So,
straw.
yeah. So sometimes anger is necessary.
Yeah, it's also part of the, they say, it's part of a grieving process is anger.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know.
I think we're figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out as we go.
And
I mean, as everyone was speaking, I was just thinking about the world in general, about how so much of the world is disrespected because of their race or their religion or whatever it is that they're disrespected for. And such a little population can control so much of the world. It's mind-boggling to me. Anyway, I'm sorry.
yeah. Anyway, so it's like switching gears mentally. So I'm a lawyer. I'm CEO of BeVeg Vegan Certification Program. We're a global vegan certification program, and our certification fees go to Jane Unchained News to try to help support the nonprofit and continue reporting on laws that matter. And Wendy has these amazing vegan cheeses, which I have to try. I don't know. Where can people buy these?
Oh my gosh. You can buy them all over the country. You're in Florida, so you can get it at Black Radish in Tampa. New York, we're Riverdale, Essex, Orchard.
Oh, Riverdale and Essex is good.
Yeah, and Vegan Haven in Seattle, Sweet to Lick in Long Island.
What about Los Angeles?
Los Angeles, unfortunately, has not picked me up yet.
Oh,
girl, I have no idea, but I'm trying. If you have any connections, you let me know. We're in Massachusetts. We're in Philadelphia. So we're really literally everywhere. And if you go on to veganessentials.com, you can have it shipped.
Yeah. Spicy cheddar.
Cheddar has jalapeno and habanero in it. So it's like extra super spicy.
It's really good. It's so cheeses.
Carissa, you just lost points as a compassionate vegan because she was saying that we won't be able to experience it in Los Angeles. Sorry. Right.
I'm right. I can send you some, Jasmine.
Me too. No, send me some too.
All right. Ladies, just send me your addresses. Wendy's Nutty Cheese.
If you do, we'll do this again on Jane's platform as like a taste test. We'll just do a special like 15 minutes. Like we'll schedule it separately.
Absolutely. You get a hold of my email and I will hook you up. And today I'm going to be cold smoking some cheese, which is I take the cheese and I take hickory bark and I take applewood bark and I make cheddar and I make a faux goat. And they're just going live today at Riverdale and a small store. Yeah.
My mouth is like water, and I'm like,
Who needs bacon when you have apple bark? Yeah. So, and I also want to thank Carissa and her company for, reaching out to me. I think I don't remember how it happened, but it's just been a wonderful experience, and all the people dealing with over there are just fabulous.
Thanks, Wendy. Yeah, so hopefully everyone can taste your cheese. We can do this again. We can have a taste test. And Wendy, what's your background? How'd you get your start?
Well, I was listening to everybody, and I became plant-based when I was 15. I'm 65 now. And I was walking my dog one day, and I just looked at her and I said, I will never eat you. And then that was it. I just realized if I'm never going to eat you, why would I ever eat any animals? Yeah. And so I went home and I announced that I was a vegetarian, and my mother said, yeah, right, okay. And I have to tell you a funny story that up until I started this company 4 years ago, my mom who I love dearly, who is my mom, who else is closer to you, would say to me, "Do you eat fish?" I'd be like, "No, I don't eat any animals. I don't eat fish. I don't eat ducks. I don't eat cows. I don't eat dogs. I don't eat worms. I don't eat any animals. Nothing that has any kind of feeling to it. I don't eat it." My mom, next time I came home, "Do you eat fish?" So somehow, it just took until I started this vegan cheese company for her to really realize, wow, she's really committed. 50 years.
Wow.
So I have I guess my first chef position was when I got out of high school in 1972, and there was a collective of creeds, colors, sexual orientation, and this is 1972. So I was hanging out with the hippest people around, and they had this restaurant where you just rotated. So one day you'd be a chef, one week you'd be a chef, 1 week you'd be a dishwasher, 1 week you'd be a waitress. And so I just really learned all about how to be in not a vegan, but it was a vegetarian restaurant, the whole society of it. And from then on, I just alternated between making my art and being a chef, making my art, being a chef, depending on where the economy was. And I guess around 2008, when the crash came, I definitely went back into cooking because that was the only work I could get. And I ended up at a restaurant where my head chef was making this product. I don't know even what to call it. He called it feta cheese. And it was like sunflowers and asafoetida and cumin. And it was so gross. And he put it on everything. And he'd say lasagna with feta and, roast eggplant with feta. And I went, dude, listen, let me go home and try and make something a little closer to feta. Okay, because this is not feta. And that's how I got my start, really, is just by hating his feta cheese so much. And he's a dear friend. So he doesn't care that I tell this story. And it just blossomed from there. It was just sort of like people tried it and they were like, holy crap, this is delicious. And, really gave me that encouragement to go deeper and go deeper and go deeper and make more mistakes and, invest in bigger and better and more powerful pieces of equipment until all of a sudden, what do you know? I'm actually making a business. And this year was, when I met Carissa and her team was my 3rd year, and I got kosher certified and vegan certified. And, I have to just knock wood because I made it through that crash of 2008 without a lot of grace. I had to work 3 jobs. It was horrible, almost lost my home. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, please, COVID, please don't hit me again. I can't take it. I'm old now. And I have to say the same thing that Aaron said. It's like when you have a product that people depend on for their health and for their comfort and for their peace of mind, I was shocked that I stayed in business and even picked up a few new stores.
Yeah. We got to get you in LA. There's the.
Yeah, LA. Pick me up. Up. Whoops.
I have it on the table.
And my cheese has it freezes. So it has a great shelf life. You don't have to gobble it all down before you see mold on it. And the nice thing about it is I have 13, now I have 15 different varieties. And each one is chef made. It's not like I have a Swiss and a Gouda and a cheddar. I have fig and fennel. I have spicy cheddar. I have cold smoked. I have one called Sweet and Sassy, which is apricots and maple syrup with some bacon, tempeh bacon. So it's sort of like having breakfast, but all in a bite. It's really yummy. So we do a lot of different varieties, something for everybody, for sure. And as soon as I think, oh, I'm going to pare down and take this one out of the line, I get an order for it. And I'm like, okay, I'll keep it in. And so that's my story. I'm up here in the mountains. I'm really remote, which doesn't make FedEx or UPS happy.
Yeah.
But I'm surrounded by wildlife. I have bears on my porch. I have hedgehogs under my deck. I've got turkeys. I've got foxes. I've got everything you could want. Few things you don't want, but everything you could want. I live in paradise, and you're all welcome to come visit.
Well, we'd love to come visit and taste it all too live. That would be fun. And if I think everybody here is on the email, so they can reach out to you directly and give you an address, and we can try to arrange a taste test. That would be fun.
Please do. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah. So we are so over time, and we did disconnect from one platform, but we are still on others. So anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. We are back every Wednesday at 12 Eastern Standard Time for the Laws That Matter. And thanks everyone also for joining us, and a great panel.
Thank you. And it was so nice